This lesson, as in the past 4 lessons, we're starting with a new fingering type. This is fingering type 4. On page 60, as I'll review, on page 60 we did fingering type 1. 70 we did fingering type 1A. 80 we did fingering type 2. 90 we did fingering type 3. And what's after fingering type 3? Fingering type 4. The name of this fingering type is from our 4th finger stretch. We use a 4th finger stretch in fingering type 4. In fingering type 1, we use a 1st finger stretch. 1A, we use more 1st finger stretches. Fingering type 2, no finger stretch. Fingering type 3, no finger stretch. Fingering type 4, 4th finger stretch. In the second position, fingering type 4 gives us the A scale. A scale, or the key of A, has 3 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. If we know the D scale, that has F sharp and C sharp, all we have to do is replace the natural G with the G sharp, and we have the A major scale. So when we get up to the G sharp, we do not slide our 1st finger down to the 1st fret and slide up. We want a 4th finger stretch. Okay. I will now play the first exercise on page 100. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the A scale has that G sharp with our 4th finger on the 4th string. Make sure you do not move your whole hand, and make sure you try to just stretch that 4th finger to reach that G sharp. The more we're able to keep our hand in the position, the more we're able to just look at the notes and not look at our left hand and just concentrate on reading the notes. So, again, the first two lines state the scale, and you repeat that. The next line states the scale with a chromatic between the 5th degree and the 6th degree. Again, in the second measure, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A. E sharp, and that's an enharmonic spelling of F. We are going to slide into the F sharp with our first finger. Coming back down, F natural slides with our fourth finger into E. So the second and third measure of the third line. Continue on. Make sure that you could just play that line very slowly and very evenly. E sharp, G sharp. The fourth line. Actually, the hardest measure there is in the second measure. But let's start with the first measure. We have an A arpeggio, actually. A, C sharp, E, A. Then you have... What's hard about that? We're going back and forth with 1 to finger stretch 4. So you really have to concentrate on stretching for that G sharp. Back to G sharp. Again, we also do have an E sharp in that measure, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, back to that. Here's the first measure on the fifth line. A D triad, then we have C sharp, A. Notice now it's very important to try and keep your fingers always over the frets that they are assigned to in whatever position they're playing in. So when I'm playing G, F sharp, I don't keep my finger on my left hand closed and then spread them out. I try and keep them spread out. So all I have to do is to press down. The last measure, you have an A, staccato, E staccato, and then you have an A major triad, which is played. So last two measures, 3 and 4 and. The eighth note study at the bottom of page 100 going into the top of page 101. First thing I would like to mention about that is that there is a double sharp sign, and that is in the third measure, the last note. We have an F sharp on the fourth beat, and then we have like an X in front of that F or F sharp in the next half beat, and that's F double sharp or G to G sharp in the first beat of the last measure. So that third measure is G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, F double sharp, G sharp, back to F sharp, and so forth. Here is the eighth note study at the bottom of page 100. 1, 2, 3, 4. To practice this, it's very good to practice the first measure to get the, and then it comes back down the scale. The third measure has the chromatic. Back down the scale. First measure in the second line. Third measure. Back down the scale. First measure on top of the page 100. Third measure. First measure on the last line of the exercise. And third measure. When you repeat, make sure you're looking ahead so it sounds like one scale. Back to the top. And so forth. Very slowly, even if you have to practice the first and third measure. Plan out your stretches, plan out how you're going to play it, make sure you look at the music, and you know exactly where you are all the time. The arpeggio study. I'm going to play this as I usually do, first with the picking as stated, and then with alternate picking. 1, 2, 3. The first measure is an A major triad, and you could do that with the rest stroke picking by 6th string, keep downstroke, 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string up. Then alternate coming down. Then alternate. Now the first measure in the last line, all down. Next one is all down except the last note. All alternate coming down. 1, A major, B minor, E7, A major, D major, A major, E7, A. As in the other exercises that we use for arpeggios, you can practice this first, all quarter notes, and use the correct picking. Make sure you stretch for that G sharp. And so forth. Very good. Chord etude number 5. We're playing all our exercises in the past 2 pages in the key of A, and this chord etude is in the key of A. So we're going to have A major triads and D major triads and B minor triads, and actually I'll name some more triads after I play this. There you go. This is a hard piece to keep the notes ringing while the top line is moving. That first measure, the melody is, and we have the chords underneath it. We have C sharp with our third finger, E with our first, and then holding A down. Keep holding A down with your first finger and play B with your fourth finger. Then lift up your fourth finger and play C sharp, E, A, C sharp, back to E. So it's like this. The next chord is an F sharp minor chord with the 9. Then it's a B minor, A7, augmented, D major, D minor, A, F sharp 7, B minor, B7, E7, A7, D, A, F sharp minor, F sharp 7, B minor, E7, keep working at this very slowly. If you have problems with, a lot of problems with this right now, go and review chord etude number 1 very slowly and start from there and see if you can catch up to the chord etudes. Remember, our abilities are usually not all in one line. Sometimes we have more chordal ability and less note ability, and we're just trying to move the note ability up in the chords so they get a little closer. But sometimes we have note ability up here in chord, even strength down here. So we have to bring that up. So not all our techniques are not always at the same level. So be aware of that and see where you're the weakest and go back and review and build up that certain technique, whether it is arpeggio studies, whether it's the scale studies, the chord etudes. Always review and accept that you're not at the same level at each type of technique that we're talking about. Here we go with the reading studies. I'm going to put, actually, since it's the key of A, I'm going to make it a little slower than we did the last one at 80. Remember, this is one of the many pages now that we have. I think now when we get done with page 102 and 103, we have 10 pages of reading studies that you could play at different times. Key of A, first exercise reading study. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the contour of the lines and look and see whether they're eighth notes or quarter notes. If I look at the first measure, my lowest note is A and my highest note is E. So I know we're going to play, we're in the key of A. It's an A major scale going up to E and down, ending on A, G sharp, A, B, up to G sharp, E to B, G sharp to A to E, and so forth. Start looking at at phrases. In these reading exercises, we're not really playing anything that's really syncopated. So you really have to just notice the eighth notes and just notice what notes you're going to play and what key we're in, and play along and keep up with me. Exercise 2. Exercise 2 starts at the bottom of page 102 into 103. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is a bit harder, mainly because many of our eighth notes were going up and down the scale, so you really have to watch what you're playing. Third line. Notice it goes up and back down, up and back down. So notice the notes that are going up and down, and notice that we're not having any leaps and that this is all stepwise. So their notes are all next to each other. Really, no leaps. We're playing everything stepwise motion. So make sure your eyes keep moving and progressing throughout the music while you're playing. As a reminder, every note that you play as a mistake is already history as soon as you play it. So the most important notes are the notes after that mistake. Even if you have to count one measure and come in the next measure, keep the tempo going. Here's the bottom of page 103, A major reading study. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trey Sharp Duet, page 104. Trey Sharp, 3 sharps, key of A. This is a duet that's in the key of A, and many of the chords that you have here that are written out are chords from page 101 that we played that chord etude in the key of A. Here's the first part. Part 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice in the last part of the first, the last 2 measures of the first part, I'm accenting, and the last A is accented. This part starts off with an A major triad, and these are all based on A. You notice we still have A major. It actually turns to A major 7, but it's still A major, A major 6. The melody is all over the A major triad. Then we're into the A major scale. A major with G sharp on top, F sharp. A major scale. Then we have a G natural in the next to the last measure on the 3rd line. Now we have the D major with different notes on top. That's B minor, E7, and watch out for the 2nd measure on the 4th line where we have the D sharp. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, D, D sharp, B. Then we have these 3 little chords, little F sharp and D. Switch the fingers, G and C sharp, G natural, then B, D, and G sharp. Then we have the melody again with small and just holding instead of we have the melody by itself with just the little 2 notes, C sharp and A, held. So it's the same melody, the same idea, but the chords are much smaller and it's only played once. Make sure that you just keep the 2 notes ringing while you play the top note melody. Keep going. Then when you think you're going to hit A, it goes A sharp. That's A major, 7, D, E7, A. Yeah, that's a deceptive cadence when you hear something like, you want to hear this, but it goes, and it continues on. That's what we would call deceptive cadence. Or you think it's going somewhere so strong, but it takes a left turn, and you hear this note that's outside the key. Actually, if you play it enough, it really does sound natural. It's your turn to practice this first part. Part 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. At the beginning of the second part, we come in on beat 4 of the second measure. So I will count right now the measure that we are of the count off, and then after that it will be actually 7 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then we come in. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that first measure in the second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, you're actually hearing that A either ringing or you're striking it, so that you hear that note A throughout the whole measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. You're actually not hearing it on the and of 4, but every other beat in that measure, you hear A. That's actually the bass part goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Make sure your finger is flat down to get the F sharp, the E, and the A, and the E again. Not only do you need to concentrate on holding, but you have to concentrate on coming on the and of 1 in the next 2 measures. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1. And notice, you play the and of 1 on the third measure, and you come in the and of 2 with the C sharp. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Same thing goes for the next measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We do have something that we have not seen that much of. We have a tie between 2 eighth notes, and that's on the 4th line in the 1, 2, 3, 4th measure. After the double bar, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So you're coming in on the and of 3 after you hit the end of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2 and 3, 4. Hold these notes. Hold these notes. Again, end of 1. Hold these notes. End of 1 coming up. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. short for the last attack in the last measure. It's your turn to play this part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Page 105, 16th note study. We already studied something about 16th notes on page 31 in this book. Remember, 16th notes are a quarter of a beat. So there are 4 16th notes in one beat. So if I was having problems looking at this exercise and knowing what to do, I'd take my metronome and let's see, I'm going to put it up to 160. And I'm going to say that each one of those beats that we hear is a 16th note. 1E and 2E and 1A and 2A and so I would play this. I won't repeat it. I'll just play some of it first. It would go like this. So each beat that we hear there is a 16th note beat. So if we're playing eighth notes, it would be 2 beats for each eighth note. 16th note, eighth note, quarter note. Okay, that's one way to subdivide the beat so that we could figure out how this exercise goes. So now I'll put this back to 80. And we're going to play it with this just has a quarter note. A little faster than what we were just doing. So this is a quarter note, eighth note, 16th. Here we go. 16th note study. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, the hardest measure in this piece is the first time you see 16th note, 8th note, 16th note. And if we were subdividing it, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 1 E and It's very good to subdivide so you can hear it and be very accurate at a very slow tempo, and then you can start to hear it and recognize how it sounds, and then you can just play actually the picture and not have to really count it as hard as you would if you didn't understand the sound of it. That first measure in the second line. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sure you can hear that in your mind after a while. Next measure, same thing, different notes, same rhythm. And then that last measure in the second line, fairly easy now that you don't have to syncopate as much. The first measure in the last line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 4. Again, 3, 4. 3, 4. Ending. When you start to play the 16th notes, it takes a lot of fortitude to count just quarter notes. You want to keep playing fast. The main thing is always keep a steady tempo. Chord forms at the page 105. We have, remember our minor 7 chord. I'll play C minor 7. Root 5. If we take our first finger off of there and just play the 3rd string and put our 4th finger on the either 5th or 6th string, we'll put it on the 6th string. That's an E flat major chord. Where's the root? It's 2nd string, 2nd finger, or it could be 5th string. Either way, I would say 2nd string, since we're always playing that. So, C minor 7, E flat, C minor 7, E flat, C minor 7, E flat. Actually, now we have 2 E flat chords that we can play with the 5th string root. This, if we use this, or 2nd, and this E flat. Let's go back to another chord that we already know, a C7. Before we were playing sus4s. If we were to play G7 and then G7 sus, we take our sus and put our 4th finger down on the 3rd string. If we're playing and that's root 6. If we were playing root 5, this is our C7. We take our 4th finger, move it up a fret, and that's C7 sus. Root 5. So this exercise at the bottom of the page, E flat, C minor 7. You notice how I don't have to move my 2nd and 3rd fingers. F7, you know that one. F13. Now B flat 7, sus 4. The best thing to do is get your B flat 7. This is done very quickly in your mind, and raise your 4th finger up a fret to B flat 7 sus with your 4th finger coming back down. So that last measure on the first line is back to E flat, or you can play the 6th string, G minor, C minor 7, B7, Now look at this. To get B flat 7 sus4, move everything down except your 4th finger. Down 1 fret. B flat 7, E flat 6 9, or you could play the 6th finger root too. Last line, E flat, G minor, C minor 7, B7, B flat 7 sus 4 or sus E flat, B flat 7, E flat 9 6. I'll play the whole exercise for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, you can practice this very slowly and play the chord only when it changes chords. In other words, E flat 2, 3, 4, C minor 7, F7, F13, just like that. And even slower, and then get the strums together. Speed study, fingering type 4, second position, 106. You know the drill. In the first exercise, we're going to play this fingering type in the second position. Fingering type 4 in the second position is A major scale. All right, and we're going to play with repeats, but with a measure in between. So I'm going to put this up, this time to 100. One, 2, 3, 4. Two, 3, 4. One, 2, 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 3, 4. For the last exercise on that line, we're going to go up to 110 and play without any repeats, just straight through. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, 3, 4. Remember, the faster the tempo, the lighter and more relaxed your right hand has to be. Let's look at the chord forms on page 107. We already know a ninth chord. This is C9. we can put our second finger on the 5th string and make it the root that we're playing, but we also know that we can play the 5th in the bass, the G, C9. If we keep the same form, same notes, make sure we're playing G in the bass, this is a G minor 6. You're going to find out that there are many ways to say a group of notes in a chord, and it's how we're looking at it. This can be a C9, this can be a G minor 6, and later on we'll find out this might even be called an E minor 7 flat 5. But for right now, if we have the G in the bass and we think of that as the root, it's a G minor 6 chord. Okay. The other thing is, if we know a minor 7 like this, that's G minor 7, remember? Now we want to play a minor 7 flat 5. What is the 5th of the chord in G minor? D. Here's a G, here's an F, here's a B flat, here's a D. Minor 7 flat 5. We take the D and flat it, and we play it like this. Okay? And there's another minor 7 flat 5 that we can play, and actually you know this form already also. Not as this name. We know this minor chord, minor 7, C minor 7. Here's the 5th. If we flat it and do this, that's C minor 7 flat 5. But wait, you may remember this also as a minor 6 chord. This is an E flat minor 6, root 2. So how do we remember all these things? We remember them by playing them. By playing these exercises and reviewing and making sure we're playing the same exact chord that is called for in the same exact measure that is also called for. Let's look at that exercise 1. G minor 6. C minor 7 flat 5. That's the one, like here. G minor 6. E flat 7. You could either do it this way or this way. A minor 7, A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G minor 6. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little faster, it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me read what Bill writes here in between the chord exercises. As the minor 6th and the minor 7 flat 5 forms tend to get confusing, study the following exercises, paying careful attention to the position marks. Play rhythm straight 4 as written, and also practice Latin beat. Experiment with various pressure release points to vary the accents. So let's look at exercise 2. Here's the B flat minor 6, C minor 7 flat 5, F7, B flat, C minor 7 flat 5 because it's in the 3rd fret, or as it also says, also called E flat minor 6, B flat minor, G minor 7 flat 5, then the first minor 7 flat 5 that we learned, F7, again, B flat minor 6, C minor 7 flat 5, F7, B flat minor, C minor 7 flat 5 or E flat minor 6, B flat minor, G minor 7 flat 5, C minor 7 flat 5, F7, B flat minor 6. Here it is in straight 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here it is Latin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's exercise 3. D minor 6 in 2nd position is here. E diminished, 3rd position. D minor, 5th position. G diminished, 6th position. D minor 6th, 9th position. E minor 7 flat 5, 7th position. D minor, 5th, A7, D7 3rd, G minor 6 7th, E minor 7 flat 5, A7, D minor 6. Here it is in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So go over this page over and over again until you can start seeing the differences between the different areas to play the minor 7 flat 5 and the minor 6 chord. Let's 2nd position review. Well, we've played 5 major scales in the 2nd position. This is a great review. C major scale, F major scale, G major scale, D major scale, A major scale. On these 2 pages, we modulate from C to F to G on page 109 to D and to A major, key of A major at the end of the piece. This is in what I would call, or many people call, a lead sheet format. We have the melody written, and above that we have the chords that are written. We had this type of format in our melodic rhythm study previously. In that melodic rhythm study, we played a Latin beat and played straight 8th notes. You can do in any of these a Latin beat and play straight 8th notes, or you can play a swing straight 4 and play swing 8th notes. You remember that triplet type feel. In this one, I will demonstrate playing the melody in the swing format, where it's not 1 and 2 and 3, is that type of feel. Here's the melody to second position review. I'm putting the metronome on 100. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you practice the melody, it's good to first practice each key section. We modulate a number of times in this exercise. So the first exercise, which is the first 4 lines, is in the key of C. Then in the 5th line, you have a modulation into the key of F. So you should practice that. Then the key of G, and key of D, and the key of A. This isn't a sight reading exercise, so you should practice it very slowly and correct your mistakes, and then try and play at least 2 keys in a row without stopping, and then switch and play another 2 keys, and then try the whole exercise. Here are the chords for the second position review. I will sometimes substitute major 7s for major triads, like C major 7 instead of C major triad. These chords, how you play these chords is up to you. I will play my favorite forms or what I think sound best right now, and then you could look at my hands or choose to not play those forms and just play the ones that you are the most comfortable with. The main thing is keeping a tempo. Here's the rhythm part. 1, 2, 3, 4. I chose to play a lot of different chord forms so you could see the different areas that you can play these chords in. If you're having problems with these chords, just keep practicing the other chord exercises in the book and you can come back to this page. Definitely, it is pretty quick tempo to play G13 one beat, G7 one beat, or A7 sus4 to A7 one beat if you're not used to it. So keep practicing those other chord exercises and then you can start practicing this very, very slowly. On page 110, we come across a number of new chord forms that you can choose from. We already know this minor 7 chord. Let's do A minor 7 in the 5th position. Not this one, but first finger. Again, this is a physical relationship. If we can play this, we can play C major. We can play B flat major. The 4th finger on the 6th string is the root. A minor 7, C major. Another way to play C7 is to think of this form of C major and just move our 4th finger off of the 6th string and put it on the 4th string and we have a C7 chord. Root 3. B flat major, B flat 7. C major, C7, A major, A7. Also, here is another physical relationship. We have the C major, the C7, and now we have a new major 7. We have, notice how all these chord forms are related by the first finger barred across a number of strings. So we have a C7. To get F major 7, we just put our 4th finger up on the 5th string and our 3rd finger on the 4th string. Root 5. Yeah, we know another F major 7 root 5. Here's another one, a new one. So exercise 1. C major. I'll just play the chords first. C7. Look at my fingers. F major 7, all in the 5th position. F minor 6, root 2. Let's do that line again. C major, C7, F major 7, F minor 6. Then we're going to go to C major 7 in the 8th fret, A diminished, root 4 in the 5th position, D minor 7, look at that again, C major 7, A diminished, D minor 7, G diminished, again root 4, back to a good old C major, our new one, F major, C major. Now I'll play it in tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll take you a while physically to play and also to remember. So do it nice and slow. Again, just play one chord every time it changes, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get ready. Always think about the next chord. Oh, we're going up to the 8th fret. We're going down to 5th, 5th, 4th. Slide up. F, C. In the next exercise, exercise 2, we have a minor 9 chord. We already know a minor 7 with root 6 with our second finger. Let's do A minor 7. A minor 9, it might be a stretch for you right now, but you'll get used to it, is to put your fourth finger 2 frets up from it on the first string. A minor 7, A minor 9. Try that. A minor 7, A minor 9, G minor 7, G minor 9, B flat minor 7, B flat minor 9. After the minor ninth, we have a dominant 13th chord. And again, it's physically related to the minor ninth, and actually physically related to the ninth. We know a D9 with fifth string root. What we're going to do with the D ninth chord, remember we played A minor ninth and reached our fourth finger over 2 frets on the first string. Same thing with D ninth. We're going to reach over and play the B or the 7th fret, 2 frets over on the first string, and this is a D 13th chord. A minor 9, D 13. Let's do A minor 7, D 9, A minor 9, D 13th. There's another dominant ninth chord that we get from this form. We have a D 13, and now we can call this next one a D9 sharp 5. Here's our 5. D 13th, D9 sharp 5. D 13th, D9 sharp 5. So let's look at exercise 2. We start off with C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, then we go to A minor 9, A minor 7, D 13th, D 9th, sharp 5, which is only one finger we move down. Then we have D minor 7, D minor 7, flat 5, root 5, G7, sus4, G13. Now we go with that new C major, F minor 6, root 2, C major 7. Slowly I'll play this. 1, 2, 3, 4. In that exercise, I forced myself to play this G13 instead of this one, just for the sake of playing that G13 and having a choice. My first instinct would be to play this one. To me, it's a nicer sounding one. But if you're already barring the 3rd fret, you can play the G13th like that, and then C. At the bottom of the page, we have a number of ways of playing a major 6 chord. You already know root 6, this major 6, and this major 6. These next 3 major 6 are derived from other forms. We already know an A major chord, root 6, just like what we played at the top of this page, major. All we have to do is play the F sharp, the 2nd fret, with our first finger. In other words, we just continue barring that first finger. There's our A6 chord, A major, A6. The next one is derived from this major chord, C. Again, we have 3 frets that we hold down with our third finger. Now we're going to hold down the first string, 4 strings, and get this for C6. C major, C6, C major, C6. The next one is derived from our good old A minor chord. What we do is put our 4th finger down on the 5th string, which is C in this case, and we have a C6 chord. You could either say it's root 5 or root 2. Remember our C7? Here's our C6. And as it says at the bottom of the page, this one, the one with root 2 or root 5, with our 4th finger root 5, is a most useful form because the 6th is in the middle of the strings, of the range of the guitar. It's hard to play rhythm guitar and to get the 6th ringing on the 1st string. You have to, but here you have that flick of the wrist and you're getting the 6th. We don't have to go. But learn all 3 forms. They'll always come in handy. Our next page, page 111, it's the first time we play quarter note triplets. I'll read exactly what Bill Levitt has written in the book. Quarter note triplets are very difficult to count. I agree with that. The most practical approach is to learn to feel them. This can be accomplished, as shown below, by playing 2 sets of 8th note triplets, alternating picking. Remember, we were always playing down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. And then I said you could also do down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, 1, 2. Well, it says here, you begin by playing 2 sets of 8th note triplets using alternate picking. Then 2 more sets of the same, but missing the string on the upstrokes. Let's try it with the metronome. At 80. We're going to play 6 8th note triplets and then 3 quarter note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. You notice I'm doing all alternate picking, then skipping the alternate up, and it's always downstroke. After a while, you'll just feel it. As Bill says, the best way is to feel these quarter note triplets. Here is the exercise on page 111, quarter note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. As Bill says, tap your foot while playing this exercise. Keep at it until you can feel the quarter note triplet rhythm. I always tap my foot. Not loudly, but I always try and keep a tempo in my body, not moving too much so I can feel and hook up with the time. Now that we are at the bottom of page 111, we are done with this week's lesson. At the bottom of page 111, it states that now you know 5 major keys in the second position, right? We've done the second position review: C, F, G, D, A. Now, if you are learning these fingering patterns, not just a key, we can move up the fret and play 5 major scales in our third position, 5 major scales in our fourth position, 5 major scales without using open strings in our first position. Now, we're going to be playing these in these positions in the next pages, but we probably will not play all 5 major scales that are available in some of those positions, because we want to play the most common in each one of the positions first. As it says here, the following pages show the most used keys in the third, first, closed position, no open strings, and fourth position. You will be able to concentrate more on the notes, as by now your fingers should know the patterns. So before we go on to the next lesson, you should play fingering type 1, which is root with your second finger on the 5th string in the third position. Or the fourth position. Yes, you played a C scale, C sharp, or usually I call it D flat scale, and D scale. Another way to play D, because the root is in our second finger on the 5th string. Same thing goes for G major. Let's do fingering type 2. G major, root, second finger, 6th string. Up to the 3rd fret, A flat. Fourth position, A, another A scale. Actually, I shouldn't call it another A scale. What I should call it is another fingering for the A major scale. So go back and practice these major scales and play the second position review. Go back and play all these exercises. Review the speed studies, because they really go over the fingerings very well in these pages. And also work on all the sight reading exercises. You have enough of them that you don't have to repeat any of them for a few days.